In this video, we'll break it down in simple terms, explore how it impacts our planet, and discuss practical ways to reduce it. At Elion Technologies, we specialize in helping businesses measure and minimize their carbon footprints. And today, we'll share some of that expertise with you. What is a carbon footprint? Let's start with the basics. A carbon footprint is the total amount of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, released into the atmosphere as a result of human activities. These activities include things like driving a car, using electricity, and even eating certain types of food. Think of your carbon footprint as the sum of all the emissions you're responsible for. It's measured in units called tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, or CO2. Why does it matter? Now, why is this important? Greenhouse gases trap heat in our atmosphere, leading to global warming and climate change. A larger carbon footprint means more heat is trapped, which contributes to extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and disruptions to ecosystems. At Elion, we often explain to businesses that reducing their carbon footprint isn't just about saving the planet. It's also about saving costs, meeting regulations, and staying competitive in a world that increasingly values sustainability. Where do carbon emissions come from? Emissions can be divided into three main categories. Direct emissions. These come from activities you control directly, like burning fuel in a vehicle or generator. Indirect emissions from energy use. This includes emissions from the electricity, heating, or cooling you use. Other indirect emissions. These are emissions linked to your supply chain, like the production and transportation of goods or services you buy. For example, let's take a factory. The direct emissions might come from burning coal or fuel. Indirect emissions could result from the electricity used to power machines. Other indirect emissions might include the emissions produced when raw materials are transported to the factory. At Elion, we help businesses identify these categories during a carbon footprint assessment, so they have a clear picture of their environmental impact. How is a carbon footprint measured? To calculate a carbon footprint, we start by gathering data about energy usage, transportation, waste generation, and more. This data is then converted into CO2 using standard emission factors. For example, if your company consumes 1,000 kilowatt hours of electricity, we multiply this by the emission factor of the electricity source, say coal, hydro, or solar. The result gives us the emissions caused by that electricity usage. Elion uses internationally recognized protocols like the GHG protocol to ensure accuracy and comparability. Common misconceptions about carbon footprints. There are a lot of myths about carbon footprints that can create confusion. Let's address a few of them. Myth: only large industries have a carbon footprint. Fact: every individual and business has a carbon footprint. Even small actions like leaving lights on or driving short distances contribute to emissions. Myth: reducing carbon footprints is expensive. Fact: many measures like improving energy efficiency or switching to renewable sources save money in the long run. Myth: renewable energy eliminates your carbon footprint entirely. Fact: while renewable energy significantly reduces emissions, it doesn't eliminate them completely. For example, manufacturing and installing solar panels or wind turbines still generate some emissions. How can you reduce your carbon footprint? Reducing your carbon footprint doesn't have to be overwhelming. Here are some practical steps you can take. Switch to renewable energy. Use solar or wind power where possible. Improve energy efficiency. Upgrade to energy-efficient appliances and equipment. Optimize transportation. Use electric or hybrid vehicles. Carpool or rely on public transport. Minimize waste, reduce, reuse, and recycle to lower waste-related emissions. Adopt sustainable practices. For businesses, this could include sourcing materials locally or using energy-efficient processes. At Elion, we've helped businesses achieve reductions of up to 30% in their carbon footprint by adopting these measures. Real-world example. Let me share a success story. One of our clients, a large manufacturing company, was spending heavily on fossil fuels to power their operations. By conducting a carbon footprint assessment, we identified areas where energy was being wasted. We recommended installing solar panels and upgrading to energy-efficient machinery. Not only did this reduce their emissions by 40%, but it also saved them millions in energy costs annually. This is a clear example of how reducing your carbon footprint benefits both the planet and your bottom line. Why act now? The urgency to act on carbon emissions has never been greater. Governments are introducing stricter regulations, customers are demanding sustainable products, and investors are prioritizing green companies. Businesses that ignore these trends risk falling behind. At Elion, we believe in empowering businesses to take proactive steps towards sustainability. Whether it's through audits, assessments, or training, we're here to guide you. Conclusion: understanding and managing your carbon footprint is no longer optional. It's essential. By taking steps to reduce emissions, you're not just helping the planet, you're also improving your efficiency, reputation, and resilience. If you found this video helpful, make sure to share it with others who might benefit. Let's work together to create a more sustainable future.